Yo, today we watching the plan to assassinate Hitler. Let's get into it.
Adolf Hitler is giving a speech in a beer hall in Munich. Right behind him in the column, a bomb has been hidden away, and it is about to go off. The German carpenter and Nazi opponent Georg Elser has planned this moment for months. He knew Hitler would be here tonight. He knew when exactly the Führer would give a speech. Elsa installed explosives with a time fuse. At exactly 9:20 p.m., his bomb is supposed to detonate. The explosion causes the entire ceiling above the podium to collapse. 63 people get injured.
63,
8
bro.
die. But
that?
Hitler
kill
isn't
Hitler?
one of them.
Hitler didn't die from that, bro. Bro, imagine trying to assassinate Hitler. You kill 70, 60 other people on accident.
Innocent people, that's crazy.
You kill. How does Hitler survive that? The bomb's right behind him. I mean, that shit makes no
lucky,
sense.
I guess.
That makes no
He
sense.
left the beer hall earlier than expected
Oh,
at
he left.
9:07
That's
p.m. Georg Elser failed. But this was just one of many attempts to assassinate Hitler. One
Damn.
of almost 40. Today we take a look.
40 assassination attempts. How do you survive 40
Didn't
assassination
he kill
attempts?
himself?
Huh?
Didn't he kill himself?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Crazy,
he did.
bro. And none of them
Because
worked too.
Yeah, bro. 40 assassinations. You understand how much that is,
0
though?
for 40, bro.
0 for 40,
crazy.
bro. You understand how much that is?
Look at some of the most spectacular plans to rid the world of the Nazi leader. Why did they all fail? How did he keep getting away? Was Hitler just that lucky? Or was there more to it?
That's tough.
2 bottles.
This is Henning von Tresckow, a first general staff officer in the Wehrmacht. At first, he's a supporter of Hitler when he seizes power in 1933. But that will soon change. Tresckow's turning point comes in 1941, when Germany attacks the Soviet Union. He thinks Hitler's invasion is military madness. He thinks they will lose the war. But Tresckow also has moral concerns. He knows about the mass murder of Jewish people. He knows what the regime is doing. A resolve forms within him. He's convinced that this mad dictator must be stopped at all cost. And in spring of 1943, Tresckow makes his move. He manages to persuade his commander-in-chief Günther von Kluge to invite Hitler to Smolensk in the Soviet Union. Here, Tresckow is stationed, and the Führer agrees. On March the 13th, 1943, he makes a stopover in Smolensk on his flight from Vinnitsa to his headquarters in East Prussia. At lunch, Tresckow asks Lieutenant Colonel Heinz Brandt, who is traveling with Hitler on the plane, for a favor. Brandt is to deliver a package containing 2 bottles of Control cognac to a friend of Tresckow's in East Prussia. Tresckow tells him that he lost a bet. Instead of 2 bottles of alcohol, however, the package contains a bomb with a detonator. Tresckow wants to feign an airplane accident. His co-conspirator, Fabian von Schlabrendorf, secretly activates the time pencil and then hands the package to Brandt. The plane takes off at around 3 p.m. On board are Hitler, Brandt.
I don't believe Hitler survives this, bro. What you're saying, if it blows up on the plane,
he wouldn't bring a parachute. He wouldn't be prepared like that.
Of course not, bro.
And the bomb.
No way.
The bomb is supposed to explode within an hour. Schlabrendorf set the timer by crushing a glass vial filled with a corrosive liquid in the time pencil. The airplane should crash at about the height of Minsk.
No way.
But Hitler lands in his headquarters unscathed. Brandt had packed the package in the cold cargo hold. The acid detonator had frozen.
It froze, bro.
Tresckow immediately
That's just
calls
a lot.
Heinz
You
Brandt
probably
and tells
do
him
that,
that he accidentally gave him the wrong package.
predicted it.
The next day, Schlabrendorf flies to East Prussia, exchanges the package with 2 bottles of cognac, and defuses the bomb. In fact, he was part of a sworn circle of military resistance fighters determined to kill Hitler, and they were far from giving up. A key figure in the group was Lieutenant Colonel Klaus Schenk Graf von Stauffenberg. Over the years, he became the head of the military conspiracy. Tresco and Stauffenberg were close companions, and they were always looking for a new opportunity to eliminate the Führer. They didn't have to wait for long. Fast forward 9 months. This is Axel Freiherr von dem Busche. He's an officer, almost 2 meters tall, blonde, and has blue eyes. He truly embodies the Nazi ideal. This appearance is supposed to provide him with the perfect opportunity to kill Hitler. Von dem Busche and a group of other soldiers are to present the new Wehrmachtsuniform to Hitler at his headquarters. Von dem Busche plans to use a hidden British hand grenade to blow himself up along with the dictator. But then in Berlin, a railroad wagon is destroyed by an Allied bomb. It contained the new uniforms. No uniforms, no presentation. The meeting is postponed. By then, von dem Busche isn't an option anymore. Just 1 month earlier, he was seriously wounded. One of his legs had to be amputated. Instead, Stauffenberg now wants the 21-year-old Lieutenant Ewald Heinrich von Kleist to trade his life for Hitler's death. The young lieutenant takes his time to think about it and agrees. Von Kleist
convince somebody to kill themselves with Hitler. I mean, I understand Hitler's a bad person, but like, come on, bro.
How do you even know if all this is accurate, bro? You think that like they really like
books and shit, like stories?
But it's like it could be, you know how like they said it could just be like over things.
But
like,
still, bro.
It's probably things that like I always question, bro. It could just we wouldn't question it, but it probably just fake, bro.
Still, it just why? How would it be fake? Why would it be fake?
They just don't.
You know?
It's just for the video, bro.
For the video? Well,
Yeah.
You think this guy just made a random fake video?
Maybe.
No, bro. There's
is
probably
ready
real
to do the
assassination
job
attempts.
and prepares. But Hitler cancels the appointment on short notice. On July 7th, 1944, the presentation of the new Wehrmacht uniforms finally takes place at a castle near Salzburg. This time, Major General Helmut Stief is chosen as the assassin. He too is part of the resistance group. The odds of success are extremely high. An explosion at that distance is nearly unsurvivable. It's the perfect opportunity.
No way.
Then, at the last minute, Stief hesitates and backs out.
What?
Sure, he wants to see Hitler
I
dead,
mean-
but he isn't willing to sacrifice his life for it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
at the
the
end of the
group
day, bro,
around-
what are you gonna do, bro? You're gonna kill yourself. I mean, most people, let's say,
They're not doing that.
most people would do that, right? Because it's Hitler.
Nah, I wouldn't.
But like, just the sheer like,
You could kill him some
you're
other
there,
way.
you're there at the time with the bomb. You're like, shit. It low-key would be hard to pull the pin, bro. I'm
What
not
if you
gonna
just
lie.
had a gun in there and then you just shoot him?
Yeah, it's so much easier to get guns.
It's
Fucking
harder,
100
but
years, 200 years ago, whatever
You could find
it was.
a way. You could find a way to kill Hitler without having to kill yourself. Like he knows that.
And if they got a bomb, and you think they wouldn't think of a gun, why didn't he have
like
a
some
gun?
other way, bro? An axe, bro, just to slice shit off, jump him, something, bro.
Jumping, bro. That's the thing. You can just jump Hitler. Can you just jump Donald Trump right now?
No, because he's a like a leader, probably.
What the fuck was Hitler?
A leader, bro. I'm just saying, but he could have thought of a different assassination.
Nah, I mean, yeah, but that would have worked. You're saying that wouldn't work? You would blow up a bomb.
Of course, it would work, but something else could have worked better.
Yeah, but like, what do you think? 40 assassination attempts. Somebody's tried. They tried a lot of things, bro.
And Stauffenberg doesn't give up. They plan a new attack. This time, Stauffenberg wants to do it himself. He aims not only to kill Hitler, but also to bring down the entire Nazi regime in one coordinated strike. In the early morning of July 20th, 1944, Stauffenberg and First Lieutenant Werner von Heften fly from Berlin to the Führer's headquarters. Stauffenberg is to report on the Eastern Front at a meeting with Hitler. It presents the perfect opportunity for Stauffenberg. He plans to arm 2 bombs in his briefcase, place it near Hitler during the meeting, and leave the room before the bombs go off. Then he plans to fly back to Berlin, where he and other resistance fighters plan to take over power after Hitler's death. At the Führer's headquarters, Stauffenberg learns that the time of the meeting has been changed. Due to a visit of the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, it is moved forward by half an hour. At around 12:15, Stauffenberg pretends to want to change his shirt. Together with Heften, he wants to secretly activate the time fuse for the bomb before the meeting begins. But they get interrupted and told to hurry not to be late for the meeting. Therefore, they can only arm 1 of the 2 explosives. So Stauffenberg doesn't pack the second one and leaves it with Heften. He then enters the meeting. He puts his briefcase down near his target at the end of the table. Hitler and the bomb are now separated by only about 1.3 meters. Stauffenberg gives his report and then immediately leaves the room, supposedly to make an important phone call. Everything is going according to plan. A few minutes later, Hitler leans over the table to further discuss war strategy, and the bomb detonates. Stauffenberg watches the explosion from 200 meters away and is certain. Hitler is finally dead. He flies back to Berlin with Heften to continue.
Imagine you just killed you. Imagine you just think you killed Hitler. You're like, oh shit, bro, I'm about to take over the bitch. And then you just, oh shit, he survived my bomb explosion when he was in front of it. Like,
Operation Valkyrie. They plan to blame the SS and the Gestapo for Hitler's death. Then they want to take power and put an end to the Nazi dictatorship. But Operation Valkyrie failed. In the meeting room, the pressure wave caused the ceiling to collapse, and there's now a gaping hole in the floor where the briefcase once stood. The loud explosion ruptured the eardrums of almost everyone present. 4 people die, almost all of the others are injured. Only 2 people got off lightly. One of them is Adolf Hitler.
It's crazy, bro.
The fact that Hitler leaned over the table during the explosion saved his life. He was only thrown slightly upwards by the force of the explosion.
What?
If Stauffenberg had also placed a second bomb in his briefcase, the explosion probably also would have killed Hitler.
If both bombs were there, that shit would have been...
With the failed assassination attempt on Hitler, the planned coup to end the Nazi regime also fails only a few hours later. Stauffenberg and the 3 other main plotters are shot that very night in the courtyard of the Blender block. Those are the headquarters of the General Army Office, and it was the heart of military resistance. 200 other co-conspirators also get executed. It is the last known attempt to assassinate Hitler. On April the 30th, 1945, Hitler committed in the Führerbunker in Berlin.
Killed himself?
That's what people say.
Why did Hitler survive again and again? In old photos and video recordings, we almost always see Hitler walking around alone. That was part of his image as an invincible, untouchable dictator. But in reality, Hitler had made many precautions to protect himself. He had many highly trained bodyguards. A special security service checked all routes and locations meticulously before Hitler arrived. His whereabouts were top secret. He was always well protected when he traveled by train, car, or plane. He had his own pilot and cook. He always had his meals tasted by his personal doctor before he started eating, all to minimize the risk of an assassination. Besides these security precautions, Hitler pursued a special tactic. He allegedly once said, "Das einzige Gegenmittel ist ein unstetes Leben," which means the only antidote is an unsteady life. He often changed his routes, canceled trips at short notice, came earlier to meetings than planned, or left events earlier than expected. We don't know if and how a successful assassination would have changed Germany's history. What would have happened if Hitler had just stayed 13 minutes longer in the beer hall in 1939? Could millions of Jews have been saved if one of almost 40 recorded attempts would have succeeded? Or would someone else in the regime simply have taken his place?
1 out of 40 recorded. There's probably more, bro. That's honestly even crazier, bro. How do you survive that many assassination attempts? That's low key. I mean,
and he killed himself too. He's the only nigga that could kill himself. You gotta think of it like that.
Okay, like he was a horrible person, right? But like, he was the only one that could kill himself, bro. Because I'm pretty sure he killed himself because like people were like coming in on him, right?
I guess, but
I mean, I guess no, because people were like coming in, so he was gonna die either way. So he just,
that's crazy. I mean, you can get lucky, but it's like it gets to a point where it's like, nah, he's precautious. Oh, yeah. He's smart about it.
Yeah, bro. He's precautious, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
For sure.